Week 16 just ended. AFC East only, winners only recap. Before we get too far underway, two regulars, actually, two people vying for the title of most recurring guest. Yeston Harris, the British Canadian, Pod Thought Deontay Salim, both under the weather. Hope they speedy recovery. Can't wait to have both of them back here. Maybe at the same time, maybe not. But, no one wants to be sick, especially around Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone out there. Garrett kind of just rambled, and I didn't get to say that the other day. I'm just kidding, Garrett. It's all love. But, yeah, I didn't get to say Merry Christmas until the Thursday. And, yeah, all three of us won. You two, obviously, Bills fans. I'm a Jets fan. Cardinals lost. But, what are you going to do? It's not Cliff's fault. Where do we get started here?
The game we just watched, the Dallas Cowboys just won a game by 42 points. They scored 42 points in the first half. They scored a touchdown just about every way you could score a touchdown. They special teams touchdown, defensive touchdown. They ran for a touchdown. Dak threw a touchdown to a running back, a receiver, a tight end, and a lineman. And I came away from that. We've seen the Dallas defense play lights out the last couple of weeks, one of the best units in the league. And if the offense can catch up, which they have the talent to do so, and also be one of the best units in the league, like this Dallas team looks like a top contender in the NFC. I think they surpassed the Rams today, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen the Cowboys become kind of inconsistent this year. Last maybe 2-3 games, they haven't really shown that as much. I know Dak's been kind of in a slump, but still, they seem like they've gotten out of that inconsistency. I know Dak today had 321 yards, 4 TDs. Amari Cooper that was only in the first half too. Amari Cooper had 7 for 84 and a TD in the first half. So this team is looking a lot better. Defense had 2 INTs, including pick 6 from DeMarcus Lawrence. So I don't see why they can't make it to the NFC Championship with how they're playing right now, at least.
When the Cowboys when it was 56-7, I just thought back to the podcast.
I thought they were going to drop 70.
I thought back to the podcast right before the Cowboys-Bucks game opening night. And I think 3 out of 4 people said that the Washington football team, when the Riverboat Rons were going to win the division. And I was like, yeah, we see how that's going now. And okay.
Yeah, there was a fight on the bench tonight. Let's not,
yeah.
Someone was heated on the Washington football bench.
Darren Payne and Jonathan Allen, 2 college teammates too. That was crazy.
I don't really want to talk too much about this game because all of our teams won, and that's more upbeat. And I just don't want to talk about Washington. But remember when Bruce Arians filled in for Chuck Pagano when he was undergoing cancer treatment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Colts rallied around Chuck Pagano. I feel like that's what Ron Rivera should be. I don't think he should be a head coach anymore. He doesn't have that same energy, So I get Washington really bought into him last year. It's just so lost. What worked for them past years and last year almost beating the soon-to-be Super Bowl champs. I just don't see that connection anymore.
Well, last year they went 7-9. They just won the division.
But they still almost won a playoff game.
That's fair. I mean, they beat the Bucks this year though in their regular season. It might just be a matchup, but I agree. Ron Rivera, I just love the guy. Don't want to say bad things about him, but clearly that locker room is lost. I don't think
they have the roster either.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great defensive line, but they've I don't know, 4 years without a competent quarterback, probably even longer since Kirk Cousins. But they have no quarterback. They barely have an offensive line. don't have receivers except for like Terry McLaurin. So they've had a lot of chances to rebuild this team, and they just haven't done it at all.
Yeah. So Jets won, but no one really cares about them.
Are
Bills
you
won.
wearing Zach Wilson's headband?
Yeah,
Quick question.
I do it after every Jets victory. If you go back through the archives, you'll see them. But
must still
And he
smell
had
pretty
that
good then.
crazy 55-yard TD run too.
yeah, I mean, greatest play by a rookie quarterback this season. But we'll get to them. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. Probably the country's favorite win of the season.
Oh yeah,
The Patriots were back and
That
are
was awesome.
dead again. I meant to tag Carter, host of the Mainly Sports podcast, for those of you that don't know. I meant to tag him. Do we really think that this Patriots team could beat the Chiefs? No.
no.
So okay.
I didn't even think they could when Patriots were on a hot streak. I just don't think they have the team built enough to do it yet.
But Buffalo fans, please inform those who were not so lucky to see the win in Foxborough.
It was just awesome. It was Josh Allen and us Bills fans. Like, we waited for so long. I mean, my entire life, every time the Bills gave up 20 points in a game, we lost. Like, we never had any type of offense. And to just now go into a game on Sunday and get to watch Josh Allen just drive your team down the field time and time again. I mean, the Bills did not punt in this football game. They had some hiccups in the red zone, but they moved the ball on the Patriots every single time. And their offensive line held up. They had their best game of the season, and they just gave Allen time, and he did what he does, which is be one of the best players in the NFL.
You were talking about Buffalo scoring on every drive. The time of possession was 35 minutes for Buffalo and 24 for New England.
And yards was almost double by Buffalo.
I think so. Josh Allen had 314. I think Mac Jones struggled to get over 100, if I'm not mistaken.
And this game just showed how important this was for just the greater AFC playoff scale. Patriots went from the 3 seed to the 6 seed, and they realistically,
now Buffalo's up to
either
the 4
team
seed
now
from struggling to get to 7.
Yeah, either team now, you could see a way that they don't make the playoffs if everything goes wrong. But
no, now the Dolphins control their own destiny. I mean, I don't think they're any good, but the Dolphins are 3 wins away from the playoffs.
They need a lot to happen, but they can make it. Over the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. Because they're only a loss behind, and they play each other the last week of the season. The Dolphins have already beat them, so they'd have all the tiebreakers there.
I mean, It was just a good day for the offensive line, which kind of surprised me. We didn't allow a sack at all, which for just barely getting Deion Dawkins back, and then no John Feliciano and Ike Bucker going down with a torn Achilles, that kind of surprised me. There's just a lot of offensive line shuffling going on so far today.
I guess, now my turn. Jets won. Kind of a weird game. It was great to watch. It was something to do for a couple hours.
I don't think many people did watch it, so maybe talk about what it was like watching Jaguars Jets. I would actually love to know.
I was right about Trevor Lawrence. He's a bust. Urban Meyer was just a scapegoat. Trevor Lawrence showed me nothing. Like, in the fourth quarter, I was like, was I just not really watching? Or was he just not really doing anything that made me, like Clemson highlights against Appalachian State, I feel like were more wowed than what he did today against the meddling defense. Zach Wilson, didn't have to throw the ball for ridiculous numbers. Ran really well. Michael Carter did his thing. Defense got a bunch of good stops.
How about your guy, Braxton Barrios?
Oh, dude, I think he might get us a back-to-back drop your nuts player on the table player of the week. A first ever, dude. Like, and apparently, Bryce, you would probably know, Matthew Slater made it as like, what do they call the guy that goes out and tackles the returner on punts.
Gunner.
Yeah.
Gunner.
So apparently Matthew Slater made it as that in the Pro Bowl. Yeah, exactly.
That's weird.
Right.
That's
I just
weird.
assumed that he made it as like a returner. And I said on our post when Braxton Barrios, 103-yard tutty, I was like, I'd love to see Matthew Slater do this. And everyone's like, he doesn't return stuff. So why did he make it as a returner? Did he make it as a gunner then? But,
I guess so.
But Braxton Barrios is going to get Devontae Adams money.
Let's hope so. One more thing, too, about Buffalo. Theo, I want to hear your thoughts on this, too. But I wonder if they will release Cole Beasley in the offseason, just let Isaiah McKenzie handle the slot duties. Because if you release Cole Beasley, that saves you about $6 million in cap space that you could definitely use.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot today, and I think it's a good point. Yeah, he saves them about $6 million, which can help them other places. And Beasley's still great at getting open, but his after the catch ability seemed gone this year.
He's just lost a step.
Yeah, McKenzie after the catch is just so explosive. And you saw today that he filled into the role. And I heard in his post-game press conference, he was saying that leading up to this week, he was watching film of Cole Beasley against the Patriots earlier this year. And he said that he saw some places in the film where he knew he could get open and exploit that matchup, which I think that really just shows you right there the difference between the two players. Yeah.
All right. Do we want to talk about Big Ben might finally be dead? Or do we want to talk about the Davis Mills hype train?
It's time to take Big Ben out to the farm upstate.
That was just a poor showing. And they kept showing the Steelers, as the 7th seed because of that stupid tie to Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. But, it's bad when Mason Rudolph plays poorly and almost looks like he's running the offense better.
I mean, when you have 23 completions and only have 159 yards of TD and a pick, you're doing something wrong. When you have two great receivers and a nice run game, and nobody can produce for you.
Chiefs looked great, though.
Yeah, the Chiefs do look really good.
I don't know. I'm hesitant on saying Chiefs are back.
Of course you are.
Well,
I mean, no Travis Kelce today, and they still put up 36. The defense looks good.
Bryce, they're back. I know you don't want to hear it, but Buffalo's doing good too. We get the rematch that we all wanted.
I get that, and I would love to see a rematch, but just look at the teams they've beat. They beat a bad Steelers.
Oh, stop. You sound like Xavier now.
No. But an inconsistent Chargers team, an average Raiders team, then the Broncos, and then you got a good Cowboys team finally. So
their schedule all year has been tough, though. They played a bunch of above 500 teams, and I mean they lost to a couple of them early on. But I don't think we have to worry about the Chiefs being a fraud or anything because we've seen this team have success the last couple of years.
It'll be interesting to see if they can just stay consistent and beat up on these good teams in the playoffs, or if they just revert back to early season Chiefs.
Nah, they'll get it tuned up. They'll be good. January, February. But
I hope so, because then that would mean Patriots are in the championship.
And a team that, might have had a date with Kansas City in Arrowhead. The Chargers losing on the road to the Texans. Rex Burkhead coming out of nowhere.
How does that happen?
Even the Jets beat the Texans. I mean, they didn't have to run into the Davis Mills train, thankfully, I guess, but
lucky for them.
I understand the Chargers had some people out, but that was a game they just had to win. And a game you should just be able to win on scheme alone almost against that Texans team.
And you let the Texans put up 41 points on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Brandon Staley, but it's a tough look if you're a defensive head coach and this is what's
Like
going on.
a defensive head coach allowed Rex Burkhead 150 yards and 2 TDs and a 6.8 yard average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the personnel's not there, but like when they're hiring him and he's getting this label as like the defensive Sean McVay, you would think that would mean that he'd be able to work with some lesser players to just at least get a win over the Houston Texans. That's all I'm saying.
Anybody can win over the Texans.
Literally anybody. The Jets did it. They are anybody.
The Jaguars can't beat the Texans, but they're not.
You know
an
who the
NFL
Jaguars
team.
can beat, though?
Oh,
Who's surprised though?
The Jaguars beat the Bills if you guys weren't keeping score at home.
Yeah.
All right. Next, Jalen Hurts. MVP discussion late in the year, maybe sneaking in there. No?
I can stand the Jalen
making
Hurts hype.
playoffs.
I can stand that Jalen Hurts hype.
He's a good quarterback, or he's
one-dimensional. He's good with his legs, but he's just not good enough to get it done with his arm like the Eagles need him to be most of the time. And if you're gonna try and compete in the playoffs, I don't think Jalen Hurts is your quarterback to take him super far.
He's showing some signs of improvement, but he's not there yet. And I don't think the Eagles are there yet either. And they really shouldn't be a playoff team. But now that there's this 7th playoff spot, like all of a sudden they're like in the middle of a playoff race. So there's like a little more pressure. When I think like coming into the year they weren't really supposed to do anything. So now you're grading Jalen Hurts on like a can he win a playoff game scale when it's really his first year starting in the league. Like I don't know if we need to hold him to that standard yet.
Yeah, but just the fact that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni were able to, it's going to be week 16 and they're in the playoffs. The fact that they were able to turn it around speaks to like the level of what they're trying to build. And maybe he is going to be that guy down the line.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like they have 3 first-round picks this year. And I think they were looking more long-term. But now it's like if you have Hurts on this cheap $2 million contract and you see you can win some games with him, do you try to like move the chips to the center and try to go all in now while he's on that cheap contract? I wonder if it kind of changes what they want to do moving forward.
Bryce, you not buying in on Philly?
They have a good team, but I'm just not sold on the quarterback yet. I need to see more growth from him. And I think the growth that we've seen from Hurts it's been like a short, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's not, there hasn't been a lot of growth.
Yeah,
not enough to make like a lot of us happy.
Mm-hmm.
He's made me happy.
Well, it's easy to make you happy.
Fair. Theo, you were gonna say before I, let my Jalen Hurts allegiance out.
Quick point on the Eagles that they are 8-7, but like I pulled up the quarterbacks that they've won against this year. It's a pretty good list if you want to hear. So they started out, they beat Matt Ryan in week 1. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. Since then, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Teddy Bridgewater, Trevor Siemian, Zach Wilson, Taylor Heineke, and Jake Fromm. So that's who they've beaten.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm not sold on him yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sold for sure, but like he looks good enough, and I think he's someone I might try to build around to just give him a chance and see what we have while he's on such a cheap deal.
Right. I will say they have a nice future, but I don't know if you, as a head coach or GM, I don't know if you want to put your entire future on him right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're there yet either, but just keep committing to the run game. I mean, their run game has been like mauling the league the last couple of weeks. They ran for 235 yards on Tuesday and put up another huge performance today.
And now Miles Sanders has a broken hand, so that kind of derails things.
Mm-hmm.
That Jalen was just running crazy even more. All right. Talking about future, Bryce, you've probably said it a million times. We don't know what we're getting with Cincinnati, but they just demolished Josh Johnson. Yes, that Josh Johnson.
And Josh Johnson still played good football today, too, for the situation he was put in.
Yeah, so do we think more of Cincinnati or not really? They are now the 3 seed, and it looks like they're going to win the division.
They're so fun, and they could score a lot of
Yeah.
points. I'm just, I don't know. They host the Chiefs this Sunday.
That's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, and
I'll say a lot about the Bengals.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is after that game, I think I'll be ready to commit to an opinion on the Bengals. And I'm just not quite there yet. I really don't know what they are. I'd say this week was maybe the best game they've played this year.
Oh, definitely. And they had some good games too against the Chargers. I'm getting some early in the season too, but there was some times where they looked hot and no team was going to stop them.
I mean, they're fun to watch. It was, just because they didn't have Lamar, we saw how they played with Huntley. And I mean, Josh Johnson literally just got there. But I mean, it's still a good win for them, and they needed to win the game. And if they would have lost, we would have been like, oh, see, this is why, the Bengals aren't for real.
Yeah, since he had 2 receivers over 100 yards. I mean, T had 194 and 2 TDs. Chase had 7 for 125
alone in the first.
Yeah.
The chemistry that Burrow has with Chase, that's so elite. I think he's now starting to develop that with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd to a certain extent too. And it's just unlocking an entirely new dynamic.
I kind of think Boyd was overshadowed today too by all the production that T and Chase had, because he still put up great stats, 3 for 85 in TD. He had that, 50-yard TD early in the game too. So he's still a good receiver. They have loads of talent on offense.
I think Boyd's a good number 2 wide receiver on most teams, and he's their third.
I think they just need to get a few more pieces on defense before they can actually do some damage.
Mm-hmm. Trey Hendrickson was a great signing, though.
Oh, that was, yeah.
Great signing. So,
I can't believe the Saints allowed him to leave.
Yeah, but 10-sack Turner, he was there for the taking. Obviously, that was after they let him go, but,
If you don't understand that joke, I know you haven't been listening to the podcast.
Yeah. The Lions lost to the Falcons. No one cares about that, but
I didn't know what to expect from that game. It's 2 terrible teams.
Easy. The Falcons are 7-8 with a bottom 5 point differential. They beat every bad team by 3 points, and they play a good team and lose by 30 to 40 points.
Lions were the hottest team in the NFL, Bryce. I don't want to hear 2 bad teams.
Sorry, 1 average team and a terrible team. Let's say that.
Yeah.
You can be a judge of who they are.
Yeah, the Falcons,
Falcons' point differential is worse than the Giants this year. They're bad.
And I think Jackson and Matt will probably talk about it on the You Like That podcast. Also on the Sports Waves YouTube synergy. I think finally Mike Zimmer is going to be gone. His eye isn't falling out. He didn't have some other health issue. So he can't be oh, I'm dying. You can't fire me. He seems like he's in good health. So they'll finally get rid of him. I'm not even a Vikings fan, but I'm so happy at the thought of the Vikings finally getting rid of this just falling apart old man, and they can just actually be a competent football team. Imagine Kevin Stefanski taking over, but they let him go, and now their offensive coordinator kind of a bozo, so hopefully he'll be gone, and Mike Zimmer, he'll also be gone, and they seem better than the Cleveland Browns because they're kind of built similarly, and Stefanski did so well. So maybe if they can just clone him, maybe name him Klein Stefanski or something, but just get somebody better in there who's not old and I don't know, young and can coach.
How do you pick off Matthew Stafford 3 times and still lose a game? and only put up 23 points, picking him off 3 times. Like, I guess you still did halfway decent stopping the Rams offense, but they still put up 30 on you.
They're just so frustrating. Like they just don't put it together, and they've had years to do so. Like that core defensive players: Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith. Like these Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. They really have the talent. It has to be coaching. It has to be coaching
maybe a little bit
the quarterback. Yeah.
We can't keep blaming Kirk. It's not his fault anymore, and it hasn't been the whole time. Yeah, they paid him way too much money.
There's some you can put on Kirk.
I don't know if I said this to a friend or if I said this on Tuesday, but okay. It always comes down to, okay, if the quarterback is bad, we get rid of the quarterback. Oh, but it's not the quarterback. Well, the defense is bad. The defense is all right, so we can't just get rid of the whole defense. We lose close games because we're poorly coached. Let's get rid of the coach. They've just never done that. They've just stayed the same and changed like a couple pieces and gotten new shiny toys that are really, really good. And then they even traded one of them to Buffalo, and that kind of even didn't work out for them. So Mike Zimmer has to go.
Cousins isn't even he's not bad, but I just feel like with the weapons around them, like there's no reason that offense shouldn't be at like a top 5 offense in the league. Like Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen, that offense should be running people over. They should be scoring 30 points a game.
Tight ends too.
Mm-hmm.
Decent tight ends. You got a nice backup running back with Alexander Madison.
Yeah, they have weapons everywhere. They have a
you
top
should
5
still
running
be
back, a
stopping
top 5 receiver.
Should still be stopping teams on defense too, because you still, like you mentioned, they still have a lot of talent on defense, but they just can't get it done half the time.
Like, who would even imagine Byron Leftwich, Minnesota, Brian Daboll? It just anybody else. I can't wait.
I think Brian Daboll would fit better with a rookie or second-year quarterback more than Kirk Cousins.
All right, so then trade Kirk, but just anybody.
I thought you said it wasn't his fault, so why would you trade him?
Well, if Brian Daboll wants someone different, you still got Dalvin, you still got Thielen, you still got Jefferson. Chris Herndon's there. Thanks for the 4th, Minnesota.
What if they move Thielen, like they all of a sudden get in on like Russell Wilson or something like that? I don't know if they have the cap space to do something like that, but what if they really decide to put their nuts on the table and make a big move for a quarterback?
Maybe similar to Sean McVay, Kirk in a first for
They're
Russ.
in the position to do it.
Yeah, they were pretty stealth like when they got Kirk. I wonder if they'd be able to do it again.
I don't know. That was a lot of time that we spent on a team that scored 23 points and lost to the Rams. We didn't even talk about the team that won. Rams looked really good, and apparently they're back.
They are good, but the way Stafford played today, I said it last week, I just can't trust him. He's a good quarterback. He's top 10, but if you need him to play 3 great games in a row in the playoffs, which is what you're going to need to win the Super Bowl, I just don't know if he can do that. He's so inconsistent.
Seems like right now he has a big turnover problem too that he just can't shake. And it's hurting that offense a lot because they still have, I know they're getting Cam Akers back, but they still have the playmakers to get it done, and they just can't. I'm getting a feeling that Stafford's just holding them back right now from being what they actually can be.
Uh-oh. Sean McVay going to make another big blockbuster trade, and then they're going to trade like his kids' first-round picks away.
Bring back Jared Goff.
Yeah, they already made the move, and
you traded multiple firsts for him too, and a lot of cap space to do it.
Yeah, then you turn into the Carolina Panthers with just way more talent. We didn't forget about the Carolina Panthers. That they just didn't deserve to be talked about today.
No.
Broncos and Raiders we kind of forgot about, but like the Raiders won. I thought they would.
That
Drew Lock
wasn't
is
that great
done.
of a game anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
surprised. I thought the Raiders were gonna totally collapse, and they haven't. They're still playing hard.
yeah, that's the weird thing. They're like the less good version of the Bengals, I feel like, but they're more inconsistent, and I'm less afraid of them, obviously. But it's like I said, they're a mirror. One spot they're super clean and shiny, and then the other spot it's very dirty and you can't see anything.
The way they rallied back through all the stuff that happened earlier in the season is just speaks to how great this team has been coached and put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gruden and Ruggs is like 20 years worth of franchise turmoil fit into like a couple of weeks. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I mean,
And then Darren Waller, like arguably their best player, is out, and I mean
he's been out, 3 or 4 weeks now? So
Mhm.
at least since Thanksgiving time.
Yeah. I mean they got destroyed by the Chiefs' choice, but they've come like, and each time I thought it was just going to end their season, but they've come back and won some tough games.
Let's just say for conversation, because we were just talking about them, both situations included, you get dummy Mike Zimmer and you get everything that's gone on with the Raiders. Switch Kirk and Derek Carr. What team does better this season?
Kirk on the Raiders or Carr on the Vikings?
Yeah.
I gotta go Vikings with Carr.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because I don't think Kirk would like be able to man the ship as well as Derek Carr has. That's what's like
And the
gone
Raiders
lost
don't
in
have
this.
the playmakers to get it done on offense.
That's what's like Derek Carr is having a good season and he's had to deal with like, top wide receiver, doing the terrible thing he did, his head coach going through all that stuff. And like, he's manned the ship of a fringe playoff team.
Yeah. Carr's never really played with a good wide receiver. Like they had Amari Cooper for a couple years, and for one of
But
them,
he
like
wasn't
Carr
top
was
tier, though.
Carr was an MVP candidate, and then they trade him. And to your point, Cooper is not even top tier, and that's like Carr has not had good receivers his entire time with the Raiders.
Yeah, he had Antonio Brown for those 2 episodes of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, like
He showed
I'm
up to
actually
training camp once.
I'm trying to think of like who the best receiver Carr has had is.
Was Crabtree is gone by then, right?
He played
ever-
with Crabtree, but
Did
they
he?
had
Yeah, he did.
Crabtree and Cooper.
I don't
Aguilar.
think Crabtree was ever great when Carr came in. So
Yeah, I'd like to see Derek Carr with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I would.
I think if you're going to trade for Kirk Cousins, you need to have some playmakers because I don't think he can get it done by himself.
Yeah, but also like Minnesota, like it worked for the Rams because they knew that they could help Matthew Stafford, but they also knew like we need to eat some of this money to just give ourselves flexibility down the line. And I think Minnesota would understand that. And same with Las Vegas, because like I feel like they would think Cousins is an upgrade, and I feel like Minnesota would be better with Derek Carr. But I mean, this is a great conversation for us to have like in March when we're sick of talking about basketball.
Yeah, Vikings only have $7 million next offseason.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll talk about it after the combine. Bryce. I hope
Yes, what's
someone
up?
says it because there's 2 players on the team that never get talked about that are extremely eligible. But who's your drop your nuts on the table player of the week?
I was hoping you would let me go first. There's a lot of options, but I got to go Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah, just not even the same division, but I was thinking, but go on.
All right. Well, anyway, the way he filled in for Cole Beasley and became an extremely reliable option for Josh Allen just speaks to what he can do on offense. I mean, he finished with 11 receptions for 125 yards and a TD. I think he had 12 or 13 targets. So, I mean, it just seemed like every other play he was hitting Isaiah McKenzie in stride for good 10, 15 yards.
TB, what about you?
I'll go T Higgins because that he had that absolute mossing over. Well, I didn't want to go Bills as well. I really did want to go Josh Allen,
Oh,
but T Higgins actually dragged his nuts over two Ravens defenders down the field today. It was one of the best catches I've seen this year, and he went crazy. Joe Burrow's nuts were also on the table today. 500 yards.
disrespect. We talk about the Bengals all the time. We talk about the Bills more than probably any team. Braxton Barrios, did I give it to him last week? Maybe and I shouldn't have. Yeah. Should he have gotten it the week before? Probably. Should he have gotten it this week? Absolutely. But nobody's going to talk about him, and we're not going to talk about him after. So now is the perfect time for Rex Burkhead to shine. 22 attempts, 149 yards, 2 tutties, a couple receptions. I could have given this to Davis Mills.
He had a reception for -1 yards. Don't even mention.
I thought one of you two would have given it to Davis Mills for sure. We basically got that man drafted at this company.
If there was a neck award, that would have gone to Davis Mills.
But just an incredible showing by Houston. I still hate David Culley and his oral habits.
He's one and done.
No, they'll keep him. Davis Mills needs stability. Do we know if Davis Mills grew up in like a divided home? Are his parents still together?
That's a good idea. That's a good question for me to look through tomorrow.
Actually, we should do that. We should find out like the stuff about draft prospects that nobody knows. Like, I feel like if you come from a divorced family, you're a much better NFL quarterback because you can deal with turmoil. Like Trevor Lawrence's parents definitely are still together, and that's why he's kind of sinking.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones definitely still together.
And Zach Wilson's dad has 3 wives, so he's built.
Yeah, but don't mention Zach Wilson giving a woman at, I think it was called Ralph Steiner, free tickets to the game today. No big deal. Just like Mac doesn't do that. Mac also worst rookie quarterback today. Not saying something. Trevor Lawrence lost to the Jets.
14 to 30, Mac. They don't even ask him to throw down the field.
Terrible.
And he can't complete half of his passes?
Nope.
Check down Jesus
and we
can't
had
even make the check down nativity scene.
Secondary too.
Great day to be an AFC East fan, minus those annoying Patriots fans. But hey, just like Texas, they're back.
The Stephon Diggs celebration after he scored was phenomenal. Telling 10 Patriots fans to F you.
Okay, so I actually meant to ask that. Did he say STFU or SMD? I was curious what you two thought.
I thought it was STFU. That's what I heard.
I had it as an FU, 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 you. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, That's what I heard it.